Mr. Moolenaar, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Administrator McCarthy, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you.
I'm represent from Michigan and am neighboring Genesee County and would like to talk with you about the Flint water situation. And as of yesterday, there were some concerns raised by a family in Flint, and you may have heard these concerns, but you know, their point was, Melissa Mays, as reported in the Detroit Free Press, said that we saw more information on Google than we did from the EPA. We asked them for help and got nothing. And I guess what I'd like to do is, you've been to Flint. You were there, I believe, on February 2nd, and really put the focus of blame on the state. And, you know, the governor has apologized. People have lost their jobs in the state over this matter. The EPA Region 5 Administrator, Susan Hedman, resigned. Was that over the Flint water situation?
Her explanation to me was that it was because she knew that she was had already become a focus of attention, and she thought the entire focus should be on what we do for the people of Flint. It was a courageous act on her part.
Do you still maintain, as you did when you came to Flint, that the EPA did everything right?
I did not maintain that. What I said was that a situation like Flint should never have happened.
Right.
I explained what I thought were inadequacies of the state oversight and primacy. They are the ones that have the authority under the law, and they're the ones with the primary obligation. But I in no way said that EPA, I had done some kind of thorough analysis of what else we could have or should have done.
Well, let's just analyze it for a minute here, because my understanding is the EPA was aware as of February of last year that corrosion controls that would have prevented lead from leaching from the pipes was not being implemented, that there were serious concerns about, you know, raised levels of lead, in fact, above the enforcement action level of the EPA. EPA was aware of that and did nothing. We're almost a year later and EPA did nothing. Can you explain to me why that happened?
Well, I would say that I believe that in April of last year was when the state actually told us and corrected a misimpression they gave us that corrosion control was not happening. EPA vigorously from that point forward recommended to the state that they take action to get corrosion control up and running. Were there other things that we could have done or should have done? That is the focus of our attention at this point. But we did oversee this and recommend the appropriate steps for the state to take.
So you're saying that was in April?
I believe so.
My understanding is on February 25th, a resident from Flint, Ms. Walters, who had 4 children who have lead poisoning.
Right.
Contacted Miguel de Toro, a manager at your EPA
Yes.
Midwest Water Division, informing him that Flint is not treating water with standard corrosion controls and that prevent lead pipes from leaching lead. Also, Del Toro, your employee, learned that the taps were being pre-flushed for several minutes prior to sampling when they did water tests on this. So that is February 25th. The EPA has been notified that the corrosion controls are not being implemented and that the testing process is flawed. Now, my understanding is under the Safe Drinking Water Act, you have the authority when for action authorized when there's imminent and substantial endangerment to health. And so my question is, if you knew this in February, why was there no action taken for almost a year?
Well, my understanding in February was that we did ask the state of Michigan whether or not corrosion control was happening. They gave us an indication that it was. We relied on that, but at the same time, we did work specifically to test Ms. Walters' home, and it is not unusual, nor is it an indication of corrosion control happening or not, to have a high lead level in a particular home that can occur for a variety of reasons, including a disruption in the street. So one house does not dictate whether corrosion control is happening and effective, but in no way did Miguel ignore this individual's circumstances or contact the state.
I'm not saying Miguel did. I'm saying the upper levels of the EPA did. And that's where because Miguel actually emailed colleagues at the EPA, relaying his concerns about this faulty testing mechanism. And also, in follow-up tests, when they actually used the right testing mechanism, there were lead levels of nearly 400 parts per billion, 27 times the EPA's threshold. That's March 3rd, again, almost a year ago, and still nothing happened. Now, I want to go again to June 24th, again, when Mr. Del Toro wrote to the head of the EPA's Drinking Water Division, calling the Flint's lack of corrosion controls a major concern. Again, no action from the EPA. Finally, I'm told that rather than taking action, a legal opinion was requested on the authority of the EPA to step in. I mean, I got to believe that anyone who looks at the documentation of the law would be able to give the opinion that the EPA has authority in this matter. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Well, when you say no action was taken by EPA, I think you minimize the communication that EPA had that we normally have with states that are very clear that corrosion control should have been done from day one, and it needed to continue. It was the state of Michigan that was challenging whether or not additional testing was necessary to make that determination.
And people have lost their jobs over that. Now, the question is, if you knew that it wasn't happening, why did you not take action?
I can explain to you my interaction with that, but it is a much longer conversation than that. We clearly did everything we could to get the state of Michigan to do what they were supposed to do. When I became aware and engaged, that is when you saw an enforcement action taken.
And my understanding is the communications between the EPA Region 5 regarding this matter have been requested. The governor has released all of his communications. When can we expect to see the documentation on the communications from Region 5?
We have numerous FOIA requests that were in.
But this is pretty important.
There is nothing actually more important right now than getting that city clean water, and you'll see a large federal presence, including EPA, who is responsible to get that done.
Okay, well,
John, you're well over.
But
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I will respond, sir.
Well, I would like to know when you're going to have those documents public, I guess is the question.
Okay, I'll be happy to take that back. We have a number of requests. I don't know what the schedule is.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.